guys, welcome back to my channel. If you've clicked on this video, I'm going to assume you want to become a part-time content creator, or you're interested in knowing how I became a part-time content creator. I will be speaking about the money making side of things in this video, so if that's not for you and that makes you uncomfortable, then this video won't be for you. But for me, that was a big difference between just being on social media and actually considering myself a part-time content creator. A little bit about my experience. Basically what happened was I still do modelling, but I was booked on a shoot that basically was cancelled during the first lockdown. The brand had actually sent me their hair products to prep my hair for the shoot, which was cancelled. So instead of using it to prep my hair for the shoot, I used it and made a video. The brand was it was Avalon, but it's an offspring of Kira Care, so I felt like people might know the brand. They might not know that specific product range, but I thought, okay, people might know this. So I basically just did videos doing like twist outs and braid outs using those products. Because I had built a decent relationship with the brand, my connection there basically ended up sending me their whole natural textures range, and then I made more videos with that, and then that kind of just like spiraled, I guess. That makes it sound really romanticized. It wasn't that simple, but essentially that's how I started. So tip number one, I'm going to assume that you've got a full-time or part-time job, which is why you might only be interested in doing content creation part-time, and I'm going to say keep that job for a little bit. The reason I'm saying that is because I feel like for me personally, it was really important to reinvest into my craft. That meant getting better lighting, that meant getting a better camera, whatever it meant, to make sure that my content was the highest quality it could be. I know a lot of people kind of push, oh, you don't have to have the best camera and the best this and the best that. I'm going against that. I'm going to say you do, because that's how I was able to make this a business. You need good quality stuff. That's my opinion anyway. So I'm going to say reinvest into yourself. It might not only be on the equipment that you use, it might also be the products that you use. So for example, if you're a beauty blogger, maybe you make sure that every time there's a new popular beauty product drop, you go and buy that so you can do a video on it. Reinvest into your craft. That is very, very important. You don't want to stay stagnant, you want to keep growing through the ranks, so reinvest. My next tip is also to niche down. Again, a lot of people kind of teach you not to necessarily niche down at the beginning. I'm going to say niching is quite important. This is more than just establishing what category you want to fit yourself into. It also means learning all about that niche and learning how you're going to translate that. So for example, when I first started, before I did social media, when I just had social media, I posted a lot of selfies and modelling pictures. That in itself could have been a niche, but this wasn't translating through my caption, so I wasn't growing based on that niche. So for example, I might post a modelling photo, like the caption might be an emoji or a song lyric that isn't relating to anybody, and that in itself is not me being in the modelling niche. How I could have improved that is if I am going to post a modelling picture, maybe talk about the behind the scenes of that picture, maybe tips for posing, talk about how I landed that job. Just make it very specific to that niche. Who is your audience and how are you going to speak to them? Offering value is key. So it's not just about, I'm going to post about makeup and I'm just going to post random pictures of makeup looks. That might work for you, but to be even more niche and specific, what are you going to teach people? What value are you offering to people? So I am going to touch on the money side of things very slightly, and that advice is figure out how much you want to make per month and then work backwards. So if you want to do this part-time, let's say you've got a full-time job and you want to reduce one day at work per week and you want to replace that with content creation. Let's say you want to make £400 a month from content creation. You might break that down like this. So you've got 4 weeks in a month, you want to make £100 a week. That £100 a week might be made up of 2 posts, or it might be made up of 1 post. It depends on how much you are able to charge per post, which is kind of going to be dependent on you and your audience, all that kind of stuff. But let's say you're able to charge £100 per post and you're in the fashion niche. If you work backwards, that kind of gives you a goal to work towards. And it might mean, for example, not every brand you approach is going to go for you. So it might mean that you actually need to pitch to 5 brands a week in the hopes that one of those translates into a paid deal. But in doing this, it actually helps to keep you accountable, or at least it helps to keep me accountable. So it meant that because I'm constantly approaching brands, I'm constantly wanting to put out good content and I'm constantly wanting to offer value to my audience. And that way I was able to not fall off essentially, because at the beginning, as I said, I wasn't getting paid. It was fun and I didn't have much else to do during lockdown, but once things started to pick up again, it would have been very easy to kind of just be like, oh, you know, I'm kind of done with social media now, I'm bored, because I'm someone that gets bored very easily. But because I was working in this way and I was constantly, every week I had something to work towards, it really helps keep me accountable. That brings me on to my next tip, which is staying accountable. So there are 2 ways I stay accountable. There's more than 2 ways, but 2 main ways. The one I just mentioned about having a goal and working backwards, and the next one was actually having a coach or a mentor. So I actually paid an influencer that did natural hair. In my opinion, she's one of the best ones in the space, so I was kind of like, oh, I'll have you. But she basically is pretty successful, and I basically paid her a figure to basically give me mentoring. Part of this mentoring meant that we met up on Zoom once a month. Not only did this keep me accountable, because I was paying, but she actually used to set me homework. So I used to, at the end of the session, be like, okay, what do you want me to work towards in the next month that I can present to you the next time we meet up? So for example, this might have been things like focus on your stories this month. I want to see that you're posting regularly on your stories, make it engaging, make sure you're doing polls, all that kind of stuff. And because I'm doing this for a full month, in the hopes that one, she sees it and recognises that I'm doing okay, but also the next time we meet up I can say, oh look, I achieved this month. But yeah, that helps me keep accountable, and it also just helps me build on my brand. So yeah, maybe see if you can get a coach. It doesn't have to be someone that advertises themselves as a coach or a mentor either. If you see someone in the space that you kind of look up to, approach them, say, listen, I'm willing to pay you XYZ amount, what are you telling me? So my next tip is a very practical tip, and this is go and get a planner. This was crucial for me. Like when you're balancing 2 things, it can be very difficult to keep up. And if it wasn't for me having a physical planner, I don't know if I would have been able to be as consistent as I was and still be doing it now. Get a planner that specifically has each day on a page. I think it's called a page a day. My planner currently, I think it has from 7 a.m. till 7 p.m. and in that time I will literally block out what I'm doing every hour. So on content creation days, that is crucial because that means I can batch create content and I know exactly how long each piece of content is going to take. Let's say for example I go to work 9 to 5. That doesn't mean the day is over, because there's still 5 to 7 p.m. if not 8 p.m. before it's bedtime, and I will utilize this time. So I'm not someone that is like, oh, tomorrow I've got a goal here, so that's the day blocked out. No. What time are you there from? What time are you there until? And what free time do you have either side of that? Because I guarantee there's free time. If you do not have time, you're not planning your days correctly. So if you don't have a planner, you've got time, okay? You just need to, I think it's called calendar blocking. You just need to use calendar blocking. I feel like it's so important. Don't get me wrong, you don't want to work yourself into the ground, but when you're first starting out, you need to be able to show yourself what's possible, and you're not going to know that until you push yourself to the limit. And then once you know the limit, you can work backwards and pull it back and be like, okay, that's too much, and then find a middle ground. But I do feel like it's important to push yourself. And my last tip is to just do it. Being a part-time content creator is nothing more than just creating content. Just go and create it. Being a full-time content creator now, that's a little bit more difficult. You need to be able to sustain yourself. Becoming part-time, girl, you can do it. So go and do it. That is my final tip of this video. I hope that it was helpful, to be honest. I'm not gonna lie, this one was a little bit challenging for me and a little bit nerve-wracking. So if you enjoyed this video, do let me know. If you've got any tips, let me know. If you've got any questions, also drop them in the comment section below and I'll be sure to answer them. But I shall see you on this content creation journey. Thanks for watching, guys.